questions on the motion? Mr. Tom? Mike, please.
Thank you, Mr. Full-Time Chair, members of the council. Speaker with public announcing over majority fairness. 11 in favor, 12 opposed. Killed over the they could all as Dagi, they were voting here. I said, no, I need that. I was not associating that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tom. Let's hear my colleagues. Go to the next delegate to speak on the motion. Mr. Leonard Reed.
Speaker Pro Tem, thank you again. Sponsor. Speaking to the motion, then speaking to the legislation also. I know this is a very sensitive legislation. The one that came before us yesterday, it's like it created a kinning between us. How we treat this, we need to treat this thing with care. We need to treat this thing with caution. We only have about 11 more months before us. If there's a division, a deeper division that we call with this legislation, we're going to eat the fruit of it. We're going to eat the fruit of it. I caution you, we need to treat this thing with care. The reason why I'm saying that there's a trust that's involved in this very thing. All relationship, whatever it is, the government, leaders, the basic of all that is trust. If you stain that trust, if you violate that trust, damage that trust, there's a shaking going on. It doesn't heal overnight. I warn you as a council, we need to treat this with caution. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Pete. Next delegate to speak is Mr. Mel McKay on the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem Speaker and fellow colleagues. It's appalling to listen into this discussion and wondering that what has ever happened? Did that not become a reality that yesterday's action did not go through? So now that we have an action that says there's a vacant, and that's the subject of this item here. This subject is saying that there's a vacant. There is no vacant. Tell me when that vacant occurred. And if we continue to drive ourselves into this direction, then it's going to be a chaotic situation here. What's the corrective measures that is there that's going to allow us to get ourselves back in the proper track? And so that is a critical area. So I would certainly agree with Mr. Pete here. So the measures is that give ourselves the opportunity and realize that we do have a speaker, that there's not a vacant. As you look at this and examine this document here, this is what it calls for. So I think it's important for us to treat this correctly and in a way to get this off the agenda. And let's move on. We've got other things to worry about and other things responsible that we need to do. And I've certainly agreed with Mr. Associate in his announcement that there are needs to be addressed agendas, didn't it? What happened here? Did we just turn the page and say, let's forget about the announcement? It was only a political position. Now we want to embattle ourselves to the point where we forget about all of the rest of the needs of the nation. Is that what we're saying here? Let's get real here. So, my fellow colleagues here, this is a new day, and let's move on with what is important here. The other thing I'd like to say in this statement is that I hope the sponsor is not threatening some of these colleagues that are saying, let's support this one here. Because there is a threat that's been put out on the table this morning here. And so that does sound like it's a mid-school class bullying going to take place here. And that shouldn't be the case, and that shouldn't be the situation here. We need to come back together and unite and move forward with our efforts here. And so I've got responsible activities to worry about and to continue to that effort to as well. And I think we have two of the colleagues that have brought that up this morning. They say that in the recess they were able to attend some of the businesses of their chapters. We all have that responsibility. So let's our measure ourselves and to say let's get back to the action and what we're responsible for. Enough of this fighting here. And we do have a speaker, and we need to support that, and we need to take ourselves and reposition that and move forward with what is before us. And so, but I do agree that this legislation is out of order here. So we need to get this out of the agenda here and move on with the other activities here. So any other potential speaker, thank you.
Okay, my colleagues here.
Point of privilege.
Listening, Mr. Sosi, your point of order?
Point of privilege.
Sir?
One, it appears that information is being made that one of the delegates changed his vote yesterday. And if that was done and was accepted, I'd like to get a copy because you're supposed to write a memo why you're changing your vote. And so none of us received a copy. And this is the shenanigan that we are warning against that is being played out now. If Mr. Tom has information, and why didn't I get that same information? And so, of course, then he's saying that we voted in the majority. But as I know from yesterday's vote, the majority was the other way around. This is now, not good, because it appears that votes were changed without our knowledge. And that is very bad practice if it was allowed. You have to do it openly or write a memo, and then of course the memo is shared with the council. So, just they're fighting on any those kind of practices starts it. And so I won't turn the page on elderly care, but I will guarantee you that this thing will be the front page from here to election day. And elderly care will never get attention. I guarantee that. That is what Mr. Melgay wants, and that's what he's going to get. And all the other issues will be put to the wayside because the media goes after, quote unquote, the more juicy story. And you know that.
Mr. McKay?
That's what's going to happen. And elderly care will never get the attention.
Mr. McKay?
Thank you, Mr. President Chair. And my point of order is that, in the point of order that you state your reasons and what the process is that is not being abided by, and those are some of the rules that we have. And this is not a debating privilege, and I'd like for you to be cognizant of that and keep us in line here, Mr. President Chair. Thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. Thank you for allowing me to go ahead and continue to move forward. My colleagues, the debate here on the motion is balanced. So at this time, let's go ahead and vote on the motion that was made by Ms. Benali and that was seconded by Mr. Apachio. Curley.
Mr. Yasi, what a privilege this unity. This was Harrison Subsea, Attorney General, which is delegates, this was I see the Hakushi and the more conflict of interest that it's not it's pretty evident that the interest, the conflicts, and interest is pretty evident in yesterday's discussion and vote, and today's discussion is pretty evident. So I'd like to have Mr. Harrison, Associate Attorney General. I asked him one time here, he said, how are you doing with that? So I'm working on it, so I assume that he's completed not his his opinion, and he's just not doing his work. This is a good request, a valid request, sound request that was put forward by Shipra. I think that we need to have it.
Okay. All right, Mr. Curley, so we'll get the AG here to go ahead and respond to Mr. Curley's question. Ms. Barbara, and then we'll go ahead and call for the question, my colleague, on the motion. Ms. Barbara.
Thank you. The Department of Justice is in the process of finalizing that response to the Shiprock chapter. It's still going through some vetting at the Department of Justice before it's finalized, but I do believe that it is close to its final form. It will most likely be issued by myself as opposed to the Attorney General, given his fact that he conflicted himself out of special prosecutor matters. There's been a number, well, at least one, I believe two now, additional chapters who've passed identical resolutions, so we are trying to incorporate them. My thoughts are that that opinion will be released later this afternoon, tomorrow morning, perhaps, it will be finalized.
Okay, Ms. Barbara. So my colleagues, thank you. At this time, let's go ahead and call for the vote on Ms. Benally's motion. Mr. Nez, point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, President, and the members of the council. I think prior to the motion, there was a ruling this out of order, and you as Speaker Pro Tem threw it back on us to make that decision. But I think the first request was for you as Speaker Pro Tem to make a ruling on the legitimacy of this legislation, meaning is it out of order or not? So I would respectfully request that you make a ruling. Is this out of order or not? Take the bull by the horn and make that decision, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem.
Okay, Mr. Nez. There's already been a motion that's been made on the floor. I gave those two options already. That was up to the council. Either I make the decision or we have the council to make that motion. Once I said that, Mr. Nez, then there was a motion that was made. My colleagues, I want to make you understand as well. Everything that we say here is for the record. So if you want us, Mr. Nez, to play that tape back, we can play it back. But we gave in all fairness here. So, my colleagues, we're going to continue with the vote. That the motion's been made, unless Ms. Benally wants to withdraw the motion, then I'll make the decision. But do you still keep your motion? Okay, Ms. Benally and Mr. Apiccio, you're okay with that? Okay, so now my colleagues, we call for the question on the motion that's been made. Let's vote. Ms. Benally.
now withdraw my vote, my motion, which requires 16 votes, right?
Point of order, we're voting.
There's a point of order that's been made, Mr. Sosi. Mr. Navajo.
Right? And if he makes the decision that only requires majority, right? Or just his decision?
Ms. Barber?
I apologize, can I please defer that to legislative council right now? Attorney was bringing my errand.
Point of order.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Speaker.
We're not voting yet. I have the
Okay, hold on. Let me get back. My colleagues, I ask that we be respectful here, okay? Now, listen, there was a motion that's been made, there was a second that's been made, a point of order has been made, okay? So that's why I'm addressing Ms. Benali here. So, the question is that if she withdraws her motion, then then Ms. Pro Tem can make the call. So let the attorney answer this, and we'll go forth from there. Ms. Khan.
Point of order.
Mr. Sosi, with your point of order.
With due respect, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, you made a ruling that you would defer to the council. You opened it up for a motion, and that was done. You reaffirmed that. And so now, you're changing that. You shouldn't do that. Let's go ahead and vote, please, because this is what causes friction when you start backtracking. So I would respectfully ask that we vote. And we're not in this order, we're going to a vote. So the point of order is inappropriate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker Pro Tem.
Okay. Ms. Khan, the question that Ms. Benali had raised on her point of order.
Ms. Benali, if I understand your question correctly, you're asking what is the vote requirement to reverse the speaker's statement of whether he rules that it's out of order or not? What is the requirement? It's the majority vote.
Okay. Ms. Benali withdraws her vote. You're okay with that, Mr. Apicino? So now, with that here, with Pro Tem Speaker, it'd be my call here. So now with that, Mr. Simpson, your point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem Speaker, my brother there, Shepherd, fellow members of the council here, a board privilege, Mr. Pro Tem Speaker. We use Rule 16, and with the statement made by Department of Justice, the question was asked by our delegate Curry. We should have had that already in place prior to taking action on the previous legislation and this legislation here. Those, even though it was requested by one chapter, and it's stated by DOJ, other chapter requested state information, that information should have been given to the council prior to taking action on these legislation. Now, if you read Rule 16, this is why I'm raising point of privilege here. See, if any council delegate may raise a point of privilege to receive additional documents from the sponsor, raise the safety of the council or the dignity and integrity of the proceeding. Now, taking those actions that we took yesterday and today, we should have that legal opinion prior to those two legislations. So we need that before we take any action. I wish we knew that already prior to taking any action because of yesterday's legislation and today. Because again, if we took action on yesterday's legislation, even though they didn't receive a 16 vote, it still may be ruled out of order because of the question that's being raised by Mr. Curry. So those questions that we asked and the questions that were asked by the chapter, we need that today, not this afternoon, but today, Mr. Pro Tem Speaker of the Cabinet.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Barber, you want to respond to that?
Thank you. I feel like in my prior, when I was speaking about this prior, I should have mentioned, and I regret that I didn't, that the resolutions passed by the chapter do not request information about the position of speaker. They are, and I will summarize, and I certainly, if somebody wants to make copies, their chapter resolutions, you can certainly have copies of the ones that I have in my hand. But the summary of the question that the chapters passed is, you can start with requesting the Attorney General of the Navajo Nation to issue an opinion on whether the Navajo Nation Council delegates who are formally charged with crimes against the Navajo Nation should remain active on the Navajo Nation Council. That is not addressing the office of the Speaker. The Speaker, as you determined yesterday, he has been remained in office. Even if you determined to remove the Speaker yesterday, he still remains a council delegate. So the questions asked by the chapter are not directly relevant to the legislation that you are addressing here today. However, as I said, we are in the process of finalizing the opinion. It can probably be rushed out and finalized for later this afternoon if you want to put this off. That's my best suggestion. Thank you.
Okay, all right, so my colleagues right now, motion by Mr. Nolly and later, that it's okay with Mr. Akachio. So at this time, the decision is going to go back to the pro temp on this legislation. So as of right now, my colleagues and to the guests here in the gallery, this legislation I mark as out of order because of the outcome that has happened yesterday's vote among the delegates. So legislation is out of order. And at this time, I give the floor back to Speaker Nate.
Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Nate.
Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, sir, I challenge you. So I would ask you to stay up there.
Okay.
Whether you want to jump off or not. I respectfully request, one, that DOJ opinion be done. And I was going to make a motion to recess to give that opinion. You could say too late, but it's never too late. Because when good governance is being called for, it's never too late. So
you're going to challenge?
I'm going to challenge your ruling that this is out of order, that it is an order, and we've talked about it, and you also based it on what happened yesterday. The second thing too is, you know, and I don't want to bring this up, but this is where we're headed. Point of order. And that is,
hold on, Mr. Melvin, point of order.
Point of order again, Mr. Pro Tem Chair, and we have our colleague that's debating on the point of order here again. So if there is, then it's one subject matter that requires for it to be voiced at one time. Thank you, Mr. Pro Tem Chair.
Okay. Mr. Sullivan, your point of order, sir.
Mr. Malvigate is dead wrong. This is a motion to challenge. It's not a point of order.
Okay.
If you would just get your rules straight and cite the rules, you know, we would debate that.
Mr. Sosi, so you
My motion is to challenge your ruling. And the basis for it is that it is in order. Second is that, you know, this is the very thing we're talking about. And SHPRA resolution is relevant in that it's questioning the conflict of interest of voting members here. And so, and Mr. Speaker Pro Tem, I think you are in that category. And so you cannot make a ruling because it questions the questions. Let me just finish up. Let me finish up.
Let me just state hold on, let me get back on track here, okay, with all my colleagues here. The question, I mean, here we are talking, okay, it's gonna get worse, mud's gonna fly and everything, and we got our people listening. So it's, you know, this is what is expected. We got to stop this, my colleagues. We got to continue to move forward, because now we're stabbing each other in the back right now by saying you. We got to stop that, my colleagues. So the decision was made by me. The question that was brought up, I'll have a copy passed out to the colleagues here by a special prosecutor on my case for the record that it's been resolved. Because I knew this was going to be brought up. So I have that copy for you right now. Now, so we're going to go back to my decision here, okay, that on the Mr. Sosi's challenge, okay, that the challenge to question my ruling here, and it's second by Mr. Nez. My colleagues, let's go to vote. Yes, meaning that. Yeah, Mr. Nez second. Okay. Point of privilege. Point of privilege, Mr. Begay.
I'd like to get a on their petition, Title 2, Section 163, under Agenda Item C. And because I tried to remove one of my legislation previously during the fall session. Adish told me, I asked the speaker to see if he can remove it from the agenda, or ADP Ben Icheko Eya. So I made that motion and the item was removed. So under Section 163 Agenda Item C, I want to ask how that impacts an out-of-order ruling on an agenda item during winter session. So maybe the out-of-order is out of order. So I want to get that Section 163C to be explained, because it sounds like to me that when the agenda, once an agenda is adopted, that can only be amended by 2/3 vote of the council, not by the speaker or anyone else ruling an agenda item out of order. But I just want to get an opinion on that before we even move forward. Section 163, Title 2, Item C. This is the statute, remember. It's not a floor rule.
Okay, Mr. Begay, what we're going to do, we'll go ahead and address your question to our legal staff here. But right now, my colleagues, we're going to vote on my call. Point of privilege, Mr. Simpson.
Thank you, Mr. Pro Speaker, Mr. Council, my brother, and Sheriff here. Mr. Pro Speaker, remember how we voted on ED right now is to issue the challenge. The issue is that if we vote on the challenge, it's going to be questioned. So it goes back to, again, Rule 16B. It says the safety of the council and the dignity. So, Mr. Pro Speaker, I agree with what Mr. Armando Associate stated. Let's get the opinion out ASAP from DOJ, so we know, make sure that we do vote according to the laws that are in place. Again, going back to the full rules. I HK. So with that, I'd like to take a recess. I'd like to request a recess, Mr. Appoint Speaker. So our votes will be questioned.
Okay.
Thank you.
Point of order, Mr. Muller.
Mr. Chair, Speaker, and members of the council, we're getting very personal. This is very personal, and I don't appreciate the attack on our pro tem speaker. I don't. This is a personal vendetta by certain members of the council against Speaker Nez. Let me tell you, you didn't get the girl. That's why you're pissed off at our speaker. You didn't get the girl. That's not personal.
This is my colleagues, let's get back on track. Mr. Ryan,
This is not the forum for personal attack on any of the council delegates. It's not a forum for you to take part in the contrary law.
Mr. Nolly, that's my colleagues right now. Let's all take a deep breath. Now, on the count of 3, everyone. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Another one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now, my colleagues, the challenge motion's been made already by Mr. Sosi. Once again, my colleagues. Now, if Mr. Sosi wants to withdraw my challenge, then that's his privilege as well, with Mr. Ned's approval. Do you wish to do that, Mr. Sosi?
Mr. Speaker Pro Tem and members of the council, I think a motion for recess has been made by Mr. Simpson and second by Mr. Witherspoon. I think that takes a higher precedent. And you are, rather than voting on the challenge, let's vote on the motion to recess.
All right.
And then for the DOJ opinion.
In all fairness, my colleagues, and to our guests in the gallery, we'll take a 30-minute recess to get the information from DOJ. Mr. Wilson, yay, your point of order.
Okay, I guess PD, Title 2, ADD thoughts, include that in the opinion. Thank you.
1 hour, my colleagues, with the DOJ.